Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks so much for being with us. I'm Eric Harms, reporting from our studios here in Washington, D.C. And coming up on Firstpost America, the U.S. government shutdown drags on. Vice President JD Vance offers thoughts on his wife's faith, and Kim Kardashian weighs in on science? These and other stories coming up, but first, the latest global headlines. India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh meets Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in Kuala Lumpur, where the two leaders sign a landmark 10-year framework agreement for cooperation in the defense sector. China and Canada leaders hold their first formal talks in over 8 years, with President Xi Jinping meeting Prime Minister Mark Carney at the APEC summit in South Korea. Beijing says ties with Ottawa are in fact recovering. The United Nations urges the U.S. to halt its strikes on alleged drug boats, condemning them as extrajudicial killings after Washington targeted at least 15 vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific in its anti-narcotics operations. Tanzania's internet services remain blocked for a third day as reports of fresh election protests emerge, and the opposition rejects the results of the semi-autonomous island of Zanzibar. And NVIDIA says it will supply 260,000 of its most advanced chips to South Korea as CEO Jensen Huang meets the country's president and top business leaders on the sidelines of the APEC summit. We begin with the government shutdown in the United States, which is now in its 30th day, beginning to now ripple throughout the nation. The shutdown has frozen vital government data, disrupted travel, and thrown thousands of visa applicants into uncertainty. On Thursday, the data blackout deepened as the Bureau of Economic Analysis failed to release its official GDP figures for the third quarter. Normally, this is one of the most closely watched numbers in the world, a snapshot of how the American economy is in fact doing. Its absence has left economists guessing, with estimates suggesting the growth may have cooled to around 2.8% from 3.8% in the previous quarter. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's internal tracker puts that number slightly higher at 3.9%, but without official confirmation, policymakers, investors, and businesses are in the dark. In fact, the Federal Reserve, which sets U.S. interest rates, is now making policy without its most trusted tools. No official employment reports, no trade data, and no retail sales figures. For the first time since the 1930s, the Fed is setting monetary policy without key benchmarks.
Colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Although some important federal government data have been delayed due to the shutdown, the public and private sector data that have remained available suggests that the outlook for employment and inflation has not changed much since our meeting in September. Conditions in the labor market appear to be gradually cooling, and inflation remains somewhat elevated.
Analysts are saying that without reliable numbers, companies could hesitate to hire or invest. Financial institutions might delay lending, and markets, which thrive on clarity, are instead navigating massive uncertainty. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the shutdown could already cost the U.S. economy up to $14 billion. And amid these issues, President Trump called for the nuclear option of scrapping the key 60-vote threshold in the Senate to advance legislation. The move would get rid of a long-standing rule that enables 41 of the 100 senators to block any bill from debate or vote. The impact isn't just confined to data desks and boardrooms, it's now reaching the skies. Vice President JD Vance has warned that if the shutdown stretches until Thanksgiving, the airline industry could face a total disaster. Agencies that keep the aviation system running have missed an entire month's pay. And as a result, airports are seeing longer lines, slower security checks, and delayed maintenance approvals.
So I'm going to let our great Secretary of Transportation answer this question. Look, it could be a disaster. It really could be, because at that point you're talking about people have missed 3 paychecks. They've missed 4 paychecks. How many of them are not going to show up for work? You take the TSA lines that are already too long, even right now, and say half of those people don't show up for work, not because they're not hard workers or good people, but because they've got to find a different job to feed their families.
And adding to the woes, states like New York have even declared emergencies to fund essential services such as food banks, as federal assistance now dries up. Meanwhile, the crisis is also hitting thousands of foreign professionals, particularly Indian workers in the U.S. tech sector. According to reports, visa applicants in the U.S. have been stalled, interviews canceled, and hiring frozen. Making matters worse, a new $100,000 fee on certain visa petitions has left employers hesitant to file new applications. Immigration lawyers say this combination, a costly new rule and a paralyzed bureaucracy, is putting foreign families under enormous stress. For now, the world's largest economy remains half blind, with key economic figures in limbo. Economists warn that the longer the shutdown drags on, the harder it will be to recover lost ground. So as the political standoff in Washington continues, the question is no longer about which side blinks first. It's about how long the United States and those who depend on it can function without facts, without data, and without direction. And now moving to the artificial intelligence company that may soon make history. According to a latest Reuters report, the creator of ChatGPT is preparing for an initial public offering that could value the company at a staggering $1 trillion, a number that would instantly make it one of the biggest IPOs ever seen. Now, according to the report, OpenAI plans to file for an IPO with securities regulators by the second half of 2026, with a possible public listing in 2027. Early talk suggests that the company could raise around $60 billion or more, depending on how market conditions and businesses perform. The figures are still in flux, but what's clear is that this would mark a new era in how artificial intelligence companies tap global capital markets. A public listing would give the company access to much larger capital pools, helping it scale infrastructure and research at a faster pace. And for context, only one company in history, Saudi Aramco, has gone public with a valuation above $1 trillion. Now, OpenAI began in 2015 as a nonprofit founded with the goal of ensuring that artificial intelligence benefits humanity. And over the years, it evolved into a hybrid structure with a nonprofit entity overseeing a for-profit arm. And just this week, the structure was updated once again, the nonprofit, now called the OpenAI Foundation, owning 26% of the for-profit group. The nonprofit arm now even has the right to increase its stake if certain milestones are met. The reorganization also formalized Microsoft's role as a major shareholder, holding around 27% after investing $13 billion.
As we step into this next chapter of our partnership, both companies are better positioned than ever to continue building great products that meet real-world needs and create new opportunity for everyone and every business.
The structuring not only clarified ownership, but also reduced OpenAI's dependence on Microsoft, potentially paving the way for an independent public listing. The company's CEO, Sam Altman, recently said in a live stream that an IPO was the most likely path for OpenAI.
I think it's fair to say that an IPO is the most likely path for us, given the capital needs that we will have.
Now, financially, OpenAI has been expanding at an unprecedented pace. In the first half of 2025 alone, OpenAI reported $4.3 billion in revenue, but a loss of $7.8 billion. The company's annualized revenue is projected to reach $20 billion by the end of the year, even as operating losses continue to pile up. The CEO has said the company will need trillions of dollars in investment to build the computing infrastructure that advanced AI will need and will require. The latest report comes at a time when artificial intelligence is dominating financial markets. For example, just this week, NVIDIA became the first company to hit a $5 trillion valuation cementing its place as the engine of the AI revolution. And so if OpenAI does go public at a $1 trillion valuation, it won't just be an IPO, it'll be a defining moment in the story of artificial intelligence, making the shift from innovation to industrial scale. And in the coming months, investors and policymakers alike will be watching how the company balances growth, transparency, and its long-stated mission of developing AI responsibly. And what happens next could set the template for how the world's leading AI firms operate in the public markets. Vice President JD Vance, known for his strong conservative views and public embrace of Christianity, has stirred discussion after revealing that he hopes his Hindu-raised wife, Usha Vance, will one day share his Christian faith. Speaking before thousands of students at a Turning Point USA event at the University of Mississippi on Wednesday, Vance reflected on faith, family, and the values that shaped his home life. Responding to a question from an Indian origin student about his wife's Hindu background, the Republican leader said he hopes she'll eventually be moved by the same spiritual force that inspired his own conversion to Catholicism.
Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
The vice president added that his wife's faith doesn't cause a problem for him, stressing that belief is a matter of personal will.
But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love.
Now, Vance converted to Catholicism in 2019, but was raised Protestant and described himself as agnostic or atheist when he first met Usha at law school. The couple married in 2014 and have 3 children, all of whom are being raised in the Christian faith. In fact, 2 of their children attend a Christian school, and their eldest received its first communion last year.
I make no apologies for thinking that Christian values are an important foundation of this country. Anybody who's telling you their view is neutral likely has an agenda to sell you.
Vance's remarks came amid rising debates in the United States surrounding religion, migration, and cultural identity, particularly involving Indian origin Americans. The vice president's comments coincided with an uptick in anti-Indian hate speech online following Diwali greetings from Hindu public figures such as Tulsi Gabbard and FBI Director Kash Patel, which drew xenophobic and anti-Hindu reactions on social media. Now, interestingly, Vance's relationship with faith was in fact shaped in part by his wife. In a 2024 interview with Fox News, he revealed that it was Usha, who was raised in a Hindu household, supported him as he rediscovered his spiritual path.
Usha was actually raised non-Christian. She is not Christian. But when I started to re-engage with my faith, she was very supportive.
However, the vice president's wife in earlier interviews said that she has no plans to actually convert. And speaking to commentator Meghan McCain in June, she explained that she and her husband have open conversations about belief and that their children are exposed to both faith traditions.
The kids know that I'm not Catholic. They have access to the Hindu tradition from books we give them, and from our trip to India and its religious elements.
Now, Vance's remarks drew applause from the conservative audience, but also ignited criticism online, with commentators accusing him of downplaying his wife's Hindu identity. And as Vance continues to merge politics with personal conviction, his comments have sparked broader questions about faith, identity, and coexistence, and whether his interfaith marriage will continue to stand as a symbol of balance or become a point of political contention in the years ahead. Thailand's viral and oh so trendy herbal inhalers, the little green jars, loved by Blackpink's Lisa, Chris Hemsworth, and Central C, are catching global attention once again, but not for their refreshing scent. The cult favorite brand Hong Thai Herbal, famous for turning sniffing into a lifestyle trend, has been forced to recall a batch of its popular Formula 2 inhalers. This after Thai authorities discovered something far less soothing than eucalyptus and camphor, traces of microbial contamination. Here's a report.
One of Thailand's most recognizable herbal inhaler brands, Hong Thai Herbal, has been forced to recall a major batch of its popular Formula 2 inhalers. This is after authorities discovered contamination during routine safety inspections. The Thai Food and Drug Administration announced that the recalled batch, produced on December 9, 2024, and due to expire on December 8, 2027, failed crucial microbial quality tests. Officials found abnormally high counts of microbes, yeasts, mold, and spore-forming bacteria, including the Clostridium species, prompting an immediate recall order. The company confirmed that 200,000 inhaler units were part of the affected lot, which has since been withdrawn from shelves. Popularly known as Yadam in Thailand, these small, brightly colored inhalers are household staples across Southeast Asia. They are used for nasal congestion, dizziness, or simply to feel refreshed. But their appeal doesn't stop at Asia's borders. Hong Thai inhalers have become a global trend, with celebrities such as Blackpink's Lisa, Chris Hemsworth, and British rapper Central C endorsing them. Tourists often leave Thailand with pockets full of these aromatic tubes, making this recall all the more significant. Hong Thai Herbal reportedly said it fully acknowledges and accepts the FDA's findings, and is working closely with authorities to destroy the contaminated batch. The company also apologized to customers and distributors for the incident, pledging full refunds and replacement products. The founder of Hong Thai Herbal clarified that the contamination was confined only to the single lot and that other products remain safe. He also dismissed reports suggesting a wider manufacturing suspension, calling them inaccurate. To prevent future incidents, Hong Thai said it has upgraded production lines, introducing ultraviolet sterilization and additional quality control checkpoints. Under Thailand's Herbal Products Act, producing substandard herbal products can lead to up to 2 years in prison. It can also amount to fines of nearly $600. Selling such products can result in 6 months in jail, a fine of over $1,000, or both. The FDA has urged consumers to check batch numbers carefully and avoid using any inhalers from the contaminated lot. So far, there have been no reports of illness linked to the affected batch. For decades, Hong Thai has symbolized the Thai herbal industry's blend of traditional remedies and modern branding, but this contamination scare highlights the growing scrutiny on quality standards, especially as Thai herbal products gain global fame. As Hong Thai scrambles to restore confidence, this incident serves as a reminder that even time-tested remedies aren't immune to modern-day quality control lapses. In Thailand's booming herbal wellness market, it seems even the strongest scent can't mask a whiff of scandal.
NASA and Kim Kardashian, not exactly the duo you'd expect in a headline. The space agency has publicly clapped back after Kardashian claimed on the Kardashians reality show that the 1969 moon landing was actually faked. On set with Sarah Paulson, the reality star doubled down on her cosmic conspiracy, quoting Buzz Aldrin and questioning the Apollo 11 mission itself. NASA's acting chief, Sean Duffy, wasn't having it, however, tagging Kim on X and declaring, quote, "Yes, we've been to the moon before, 6 times," end quote. He even credited President Donald Trump's Artemis push for the next lunar leap. Our final report brings you more on what happens when science meets celebrity.
NASA, the moon, and Kim Kardashian. 3 names you probably didn't expect in the same headline, but here we are. In one of the strangest celebrity meet science moments of the year, NASA has officially responded to Kim Kardashian. Why? Because the reality star just questioned whether humans ever really walked on the moon. Yes, you heard that right. During Thursday night's episode of The Kardashian, Kim, while getting makeup touch-ups on the set of her new drama All's Fair, tried to convince her co-star, Sarah Paulson, that the 1969 Apollo 11 moon landing was fake. "I'm sending you a million articles with both Buzz Aldrin and the other one," she told Paulson. Paulson laughed, but Kim wasn't joking. She went on to read from an article about astronaut Buzz Aldrin, one of the 3 men who took part in NASA's legendary 1969 Apollo 11 mission. As she read aloud, Kim suggested Aldrin's story didn't quite add up. Then came the bombshell. "I think it was fake," she said. Then back on set, she listed her reasons. The flag that appeared to wave despite no atmosphere on the moon, the footprints that didn't match the boots displayed in museums, the missing stars in the lunar photos. Then she turned to the camera and told viewers, "Go to TikTok, see for yourself." But NASA wasn't about to let that slide. Within hours, acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy took to X and tagged Kim directly. "Yes, we've been to the moon before, 6 times," he wrote, adding a little rocket emoji for effect. Then came another twist. Politics entered the chat. Duffy mentioned the Artemis program, NASA's new mission going back under the leadership of President Donald Trump. He ended his post with a line that could have come straight from a campaign rally. "We won the last space race, and we will win this one too." And just like that, the space agency and a reality TV superstar were trending side by side. Social media exploded. One user wrote, and I quote, "Hard to believe someone so famous doubts one of the most documented events in history." Another pointed out, saying that, and I quote, "Not surprised Kim K sees fake everywhere, since much of her is too." Others compared her to her ex-husband, Kanye West, no stranger to controversy or conspiracy. But this story isn't over, because as Kim doubles down on her theory, and NASA doubles down on its facts, the internet is once again split between science and celebrity.
That's our show for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We hope you have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you right back here next week.